In this video, I want to give you some ideas on how to go from your annotations that we did in 582. My recommendation is to go through a stepping stone of making an outline and then into the literature review. The outline is not a formally required assignment this fall, but what I will say is that if you are able to submit it to me early enough, I'm able to give you feedback, and that the folks who go through that process end up having the strongest first drafts for their literature review. So in Blackboard, if you are down here under the final paper samples, it's chunked out into three parts. There's the outlines, there's literature reviews, and there's methods, because those are the sort of the three stages we'll go through here. And in general, what I've put here is that the goal for a literature review is the fact that you are now pulling together all that great knowledge that you learned over the process of reading your annotation, and you are telling the reader what are the themes and what do we already know about this topic, and then what are you going to try and add to the literature? Why are you researching this? So if you think about it, each of your source, if you kind of assigned each of your sources a color, the goal is that those sources will be integrated throughout the literature review. A lot of folks, when they do their first draft, they want to go through it and just list out what did each source say. And that really is why we did the annotations, so that you could process each source. And then the reason that I had you do the connections for each source is so that you are starting to think about what are these trends and big ideas. So that's sort of the general concept. I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. So this is my example annotation that we were, sort of referencing this summer. And then what I'm going to show you is here is my outline. And what I've done with this is I have taken and I've started to group what are the themes that we know about women, technology, and leadership. So there was some information about theory. And again, sometimes I put just the author's name because this is really a working document for me. Sometimes I just put the author's name, sometimes I put a comment, and then sometimes I noted if there was a gap. So we know some things about research or about leadership, but neither one of these specifically explored gender. And then you'll see here where I have started to copy direct text from my annotations into the organization for my outline. And so you can see that these are kind of becoming my subheadings as I move from individual articles to kind of what's the big picture about what we already know. And you can see each one of these would then become a section in my paper. So this is my working document. Another one that I've given you in here is Larissa. Hers is the one that's labeled Very Developed Outline. And then Larissa's literature review is down here. So you'll see what Larissa decided to do. She put her title up at the top. She labeled that this is going to be her intro, and she actually went through and color coded her sources so that she could see if she was blending those sources. And she really went through a lot of detail, and you can see where she used sort of a bulleting structure to help her think about subcategories. Also down here, you'll notice that in one parenthetical citation, she realized that all of those sources, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those sources had all dealt with the same topic. And that's a really strong part of her work, is that she really was able to find these big themes of more than one person who was saying something. And then, you can see how it sort of moves on here. She does have Creswell in here, which is completely appropriate. You can see the next section of her paper here. The next topic, what do we know about problem behaviors in academics? And you'll see that some of the citations show up in more than one section. Some just show up in one section. What do we know about problem behaviors in social emotional learning? And then conclusion, what is it that she's going to try and research? And then she had her working questions down here that she was going to try and tackle. So that's her outline. This then is her final paper. So again, keep in mind that it's gone through some revisions and stages since that outline, but you can really start to see, here's her topic. She's going to talk about what are the tiers. She's going to then go back into these sections that we see right here in her outline. All right, and you can see how she's effectively using headings to help kind of funnel and direct the reader into the different subjects, and then a conclusion, and then into her research questions. So what I've done is that in Google Classroom, you have a blank APA paper template, and I would encourage you to continue to work right in this document, starting to fill in the content for yourself. And the abstract, that will get added in the spring, so you can just leave that Latin text there. And then what I've done is I've just embedded a sort of a guideline for that creating your paper. Like I said, you are not required to submit the outline formally to me, but sometimes it's a really helpful way to just get some feedback on, does the organization of my ideas make sense? And again, this is where you'll be taking content straight from your annotations and starting to group and regroup it into the themes and the trends that you're seeing, with the goal of then writing a literature review that is full, robust, coherent. And so I hope this helps you kind of step through those ideas and gives you something to reference back as you start into this task.